You're watching Forrest Gump. It's the end of the movie. It's the scene where Forrest is standing over Jenny's grave, telling her about their son. And if you're like me, you got tears in your eyes and a lump in your throat. But why? Why do we get attached to fictional characters? Let's watch this video of a girl who's watching Harry Potter's death scene from the end of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
We never left. Does it hurt? Dying?
Yes, I'm very scared.
Quicker than Forrest.
Now obviously Harry didn't die because he's a fictional character from a book. And Daniel Radcliffe, the actor who plays him, is just fine. He's still making movies and whatever the hell this is. But for millions of other people, and this girl, it's very much real. But why is that? Well, the short answer is, we don't really know. But what we do know is the reason why we're able to feel feelings for other people. It's a little thing called empathy. Empathy is defined as the ability to experience another person's experiences and emotions. Basically, we're able to gauge how someone else is feeling based on things that we've gone through in our own lives and emotions that we've felt. And then we're able to empathize with them. Now, this is our first step to explaining this phenomenon. Daniel Radcliffe is a person who is acting out certain emotions and experiences, and because we see him as a human being with these emotions and experiences, we are able to empathize with him. Now what about cartoons? Don't tell me that the first 20 minutes of Up doesn't make you bawl your eyes out. Now this can be explained by something called anthropomorphism. Human beings are great at this. We constantly project human emotions and characteristics onto things that aren't human and sometimes aren't even alive. This was most famously studied in 1944 by two experimental psychologists, Heider and Heider Simmel. They showed a short animation of shapes moving around to a group of undergraduate students and asked them to write down what they saw. When they reviewed the data, they noticed a really interesting theme. A lot of the people wrote very elaborate stories about how the big, mean triangle bullied the little triangle in the circle. They all gave human characteristics to these shapes that were just shapes moving around. These shapes didn't look like humans, but they moved around with agency. Agency is a word that means to move with purpose. Anything that we perceive to either be alive or have agency, we're able to empathize with it and we care about it. Alright, so now we understand how we're able to feel these emotions, but now here comes the harder question. Why? The human brain is able to distinguish between what's real and what's not real, but for some reason when we watch movies or read books, we're able to turn our brains off and allow ourselves to believe that these fictional characters are real. Now that makes me wonder, what makes something more real than something else? Let's test this. Tell me 5 things about Chester A. Arthur. He was president. He had an awesome mustache. Okay, now tell me 5 things about Batman's life. Oh, that's easy. Okay. Batman's the alter ego of Bruce Wayne, son of Thomas and Martha Wayne. He's a billionaire who lives in Gotham City. He was inspired to fight crime when he saw Joe Chill murder his parents at the age of 8 years old. Now, all of those things are true, but Batman's not real. He's a fictional character. I know that Chester A. Arthur was a real person because it's true. It's easier to accept that Batman is real because he's right there on the screen in front of you, punching and kicking people. You only know that Chester A. Arthur was real because you were told he is. It's like hearing a news story about somebody who got shot and then seeing it happen right in front of you. Those are two different experiences. When it happens right in front of you, it's much more real to you, and you're able to understand it more. Now this gets into some crazy stuff like realism and solipsism. Basically, there's no way to prove that anything is real, but that's a topic for another video. The human brain does some pretty interesting things, but the filmmaker is still responsible for making us care about movie characters. Not only is there sad music playing, or it's raining, or The tone is darker during an emotionally driven scene, but the editor chooses what he wants to show you. They use something called the mirror rule, which is when we see a person smile at us, our brains automatically tell us to smile back. They show us what they want us to see. Take for example that scene from Forrest Gump. 1 minute we see Forrest talking to Jenny, and then we hear a voiceover telling the audience that Jenny has died. Then we see Forrest standing over her grave. This parallels how someone can be gone in an instant. Then we see his face, and suddenly we're him. Everybody has experienced loss in some form or another in their life, be it a family member, a friend, or a pet. So when we see him standing there looking at her grave, with that little bit of gravestone in the lower third of the frame, we know exactly what he's going through, and we're able to empathize with him. That shot is so powerful. It has so much control over our minds, it's crazy. Now this is just some of the basics, and again, we don't know exactly why we get attached to fictional characters, but it really shows us something about ourselves as humans. Human beings are hardwired to care about one another. We can make each other feel better just by being understanding and showing a little empathy. This urge is so strong that we project it onto people who aren't even real. I'm Vinny Policastro, and I hope you learned something about yourselves today. Thanks for watching. Alright, that's it.